Welcome back to Persuasia. After the debate on the town mascot, Mortimer the Warthog, the people voted. The results are in. Mortimer will stay the mascot. Oh, but it's not over yet. Look what Mia found scrolling the news. Mortimer has been kidnapped. A mysterious note left at the scene is the only clue to the wayward warthog's whereabouts. Everyone's worried about him. He's like a billion years old. Naturally, suspicion has fallen on the three who were arguing for getting rid of him. Electra Ethos, Lucas Logos, and Penelope Pathos. The Persuasia Town Council needs someone to investigate by comparing the note found at the crime scene with examples of each debater's writing. Once we find a match, we'll be able to identify the kidnapper. And since we analyzed their writing last time, I think we're the right sleuths for this case. In order to figure out which of the three kidnapped Mortimer, we'll learn to identify the tone of texts and evaluate how tone impacts the reader. Now, let's get a move on. For Mortimer! The kidnapper left a note explaining why they took Mortimer. We're going to analyze that note and compare it to 3 writing samples from each of our suspects to see whose style it matches. We'll do that by analyzing the tone of each text. Think about that word, tone. Where have you heard it before? You might be familiar with tone of voice or the emotions we show when we talk, like, I can't wait to get going, or I can't wait to get going. I said the same words, but in different tones. Excited, then sarcastic. You could tell what I was feeling from the sound of my voice, my facial expressions, and my body language. But what if you couldn't hear me or see me? I bet I could still communicate my tone in text. Take a look at these texts. Can you tell what emotions each writer is showing? Even without tone of voice or facial expressions, it's clear this person is excited, this one is unhappy or anxious, and this last one is serious and polite. When we interpret a text to figure out how the writer is feeling, we're analyzing tone, the attitude an author expresses through their writing. Remember learning about indirect characterization in Unit 1? We know that authors can show us what characters are like through details and hints. Tone is similar. Instead of directly writing how we feel, we show it through details. Let's consider what kinds of details might show tone. How can we indirectly express our tone or attitude in writing? Pause to brainstorm in your PDF, then resume to discuss. There are lots of possible answers. The punctuation we choose can convey very different tones, from confident to uncertain, and so can our word choice. For example, saying you get to do something shows a different attitude than saying you have to do it. And sentence structure also conveys tone. Long sentences, short sentences, word order, all of these details can show the writer's attitude, from nervous to threatening. Interpreting tone helps us understand what a writer is communicating. It also helps us use the right tone in our own writing. Imagine using a tragic tone to wish someone happy birthday, or a doctor using a joyful tone to say, you have the flu. Oof, that'd be pretty awkward. Okay, now that we know the basics of tone, let's get those texts so we can find Mortimer. Time to apply our skills. We'll read the note from Mortimer's kidnapper and identify its tone, then compare it to texts from our suspects to find the right culprit. As we read the kidnapper's note, consider the writer's tone. What feelings do they seem to have about Mortimer? Dear friends, I've taken Mortimer to a safe place where he can finally rest and be free from his duties. He's protected and happy, and this is truly for the best. It pains me to see him stressed, and I believe this will help both him and our town in the long run. What is the tone of this letter? What attitude does the writer have? Underline any details that create tone, and then write your ideas in your PDF. Pause to work and resume to discuss. Word choices like dear friends, safe place, finally rest, and protected and happy all sound caring and warm. The phrase truly for the best is reassuring, and it pains me shows the writer feels concern for Mortimer. All throughout, the writer uses commas to give each sentence pauses, which creates a reassuring, soothing tone. This sentence structure starts with, I believe. That makes the sentence more gentle, like a suggestion, rather than a demand. So the writer seems thoughtful, not aggressive. Well, that's unexpected. The kidnapper wrote in a really warm, concerned tone. They seem to care a lot about Mortimer. Now, we have texts from each suspect, Electra, Lucas, and Penelope, to compare. As we read the sample from Electra, consider what tone she uses. While I acknowledge Mortimer's significant role in our town's identity and morale, we must prioritize his well-being as much as our own. Given his long-standing service, it is now appropriate for him to rest. His retirement will benefit him, and by extension, our community. What is the tone of this letter? Does it seem the same as the kidnapper's tone, or different? Underline any details that create the tone, and write your ideas in your PDF. Pause to work, and resume to discuss. What do you think? Does Electra have the same tone and attitude as the kidnapper? They both talked about the same ideas, like Mortimer retiring for his own good. But the way they expressed those ideas seemed very different. Words like acknowledge, prioritize, and benefit sound like someone discussing business, like she's being practical. The kidnapper used emotional words like safe and happy, but Electra uses more objective words like well-being and retirement. And while the kidnapper used a lot of first-person language saying I and me, Electra doesn't, so her tone sounds less personal and more detached. And the kidnapper wrote things like I believe to emphasize opinions, but Electra declares what should happen with an authoritative tone. I think we can rule out Electra. The kidnapper must be either Lucas or Penelope. Help us figure it out. In your PDF are the text samples from our final two suspects. Read each text, identify its tone, and underline any details that create the tone. Then decide which writer's tone matches the kidnapper's. Pause to work and resume to check. By using phrases like look and let's face it, as well as an em dash and a rhetorical question, Lucas creates a conversational tone. Electra's tone would suit a business meeting, but Lucas's tone is more like friends talking. The phrase, that sweet warthog is older than dirt, adds a lighthearted, humorous tone. Lucas doesn't sound so serious about this. Penelope uses phrases like a special place in all our hearts and beloved friend, creating a caring tone. There's also first-person language like it breaks my heart, which adds to the personal tone. And she uses phrases like perhaps to make her ideas sound gentle, not demanding. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? The kidnapper is Penelope. Mia, go tell the town council. While they go find Mortimer, we'll talk next steps. Thanks to us, Mortimer has been found. Penelope had taken him to a beautiful farm outside the city. Finally, Persuasia can bring back their beloved mask. Wait, really? So apparently Penelope had it right. Mortimer is loving the fresh air and mud baths and wants to stay there, which means Persuasion needs to choose a new mascot. I wonder if we can help. Until then, remember, every story is a new horizon. See you next time!
Hey!